My name is Ann Sermons Gillis, and I am a member of Unity of Charleston. This morning, we have with us a member and also someone that is a musician, singer, and we are so glad to welcome this morning Heather Rice. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you, Anne. It's so good to be here with you.
Yeah, we've been scheduling this for a while, and I think your children got sick, so I'm glad. I hope everyone's well now.
Yes, yes. It's been a lot of colds over the season, but they're very young and we're on the mend. So happy about that.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, I'm just wondering, where were you originally born?
Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, well, how in the world did you get here?
Well, I grew up in Florida. My family moved around quite a bit. And after Florida, well, I went to college in Orlando, and that's where I met my husband. But in my 20s, I vacationed here and I had a few gigs that brought me up here, and I really fell in love with the town.
Oh,
So then
wow.
when we were deciding where to live, I said, what about Charleston? And we decided to move here.
Conscious choice. So
Yeah,
where do you live in the Charleston area now?
West Ashley.
West Ashley. Okay, we have a lot of members that live in West Ashley.
Mhm.
Were you raised in any kind of religion?
Yes, I was raised Catholic.
Okay. And what made you change from Catholic to where you are now?
I don't know that I ever really changed.
You
I think I'm
just,
still Catholic, but I'm and now also Unity.
so you're both.
Yeah, I identify as a Christian, but with a wider scope and understanding of that.
Mhm.
So I never
Sometimes
really looked at my roots. I just sort of brought them with me and grew new leaves.
I love that. That's somewhat like the mystic, huh? That's what the mystic does. They just keep incorporating everything they have, but they go much wider, much bigger, much deeper. So you're married,
Yes,
yes, and you have two children. Tell us about you. You have two children.
I do. I'm
Ages.
married to Sean Rice, who is a beautiful man, and he's my Valentine, 'cause today's Valentine's Day.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. I love all of your red.
Oh, thank you.
I have the two babies. I have a 5-year-old and a 15-month-old baby girl. And they're just precious. And I love them so much.
Oh, that's
And I
so
made a little This is her first Valentine's, really. So I made her own homemade Valentine. And then this is Leo and Eliza. And this is Leo's homemade Valentine.
uh, so sweet. So, what is your career?
What is it?
Yeah, what is,
I do a little bit of everything. I'm a very creative person. So I would say that my schooling is in music and theater. So classical voice and acting is what I majored and minored in. Um, and from there, I became a jazz singer and made my living as a jazz singer and piano player for 15 years.
wow.
But then I also have done off-Broadway shows and residencies in Vegas and done a lot of teaching piano and voice. Recently, though, in the past couple of years, I've gotten into more visual creation, which I never expected to go into. So I became interested in graphic design and video editing and video producing. So I'm kind of interested in that. And as it relates to my music, because in order to release creative works, I found that people were just gravitating towards video. So that's kind of how it happened. And then I also had a need for recording my own music. So I've made a lot of my living has also been made as a voiceover artist and recording record. So like, like for commercials or sometimes narration. I just did a project for a psychologist in town. They were doing a promo video and I did their voiceover. So it's a little bit of everything, mostly singing, mostly speaking, organizing music. But then also in just the past few years, I've branched out into like technical creation, which is brand new for me and really exciting.
Well, yeah, if you've got a product, you have to get it out there, and we've got the technology to do that at home now. We can do our own stuff. We don't have to depend on other people to do it. We can, but it is fun to learn those kind of creations. Now, I know that you're really a musical person and creator. Are you a songwriter as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I put out my own album. So that's kind of how it came about, the recording studio, and then the music videos that go with the songs, and then the social media marketing that goes with getting the videos out. And so it's all kind of like, I'm learning. That's still new to me. It's only 3 years or so in, but the pandemic actually helped me to slow down. Since I wasn't performing as much, I was home. And so while my children were occupied, which wasn't that much, but whenever they were occupied, I would learn and get on my computer or shoot video in my studio. So that was really when I started all this like the technical revolution of Heather Rice.
Right. Well, hopefully you can send me some links and I'll link those under the video for people to check your things out. You have links you can send me?
Oh yeah, I do.
So how did your spiritual search start? Or were
It's
you
such an
always on
interesting
it?
question. No, it's an interesting question to, sort of, yeah, is it a spiritual search? I don't know that, I don't know that that's even really my personality to sort of be on a mission to search. I think that whatever present moment I'm in, if there's a spiritual teaching, I like to notice it. And so growing up Catholic, I just thought, well, this is the way that things are. And this is the framework of spirituality. This is what it is. And so I would say my mind really started to open when my mom and my dad started buying books and audiobooks by Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay. And I started to just be introduced to a different way of thinking. And I think I had a shift happen when my mother, so I guess she's a really big player in this, she would, well, of course, because our mothers are so important. I'm realizing that as a mother. But she would put a little statue of a Buddha in our menagerie. And that was kind of different because she was telling me just visually that those two could exist on the same mantle. So that was, I think, the first symbol of being open to other religions and other spiritual paths. And then a real turning point that brought me to unity was reading Eric Butterworth's The Power is Within You. And I'm terrible about, I'll read a book and I'll understand it fully. And then if you ask me to quote it, I won't be able to. I just don't remember the details. But
I don't either.
I remember how it made me feel, so I remember this book and I thought, oh, well, that is a really cool way to look at Christianity, my Christianity and the Bible and what I had been taught. So from there, I'm just learning and learning and learning. And what brought me to Unity of Charleston was Dr. Maya Angelou. I was a huge fan of all of her books and poetry. And somehow I found out, I don't know if it was just like the internet told me, but that Maya Angelou's church was Unity, where she lived. And then I thought that I heard that about Louise Hay too, which I may be wrong about that. But anyway, there was a little breadcrumb there, and I thought, wow, if that was her church, I need to go there and I need to understand, what this is about. And so when I lived in New York City in my 20s, I visited a Unity church, and I was in a really lonely, lonely time in my life. It was cold and lonely up there in New York, and I was young and I didn't know what was what. But I did go to this Unity church, and it was so nice. It was just to hold hands and sing the Lord's Prayer. It was so special. So when we moved to Charleston, I had no idea, what we would do for a church. My husband didn't grow up in church, so I wasn't sure where he would be comfortable. And when we moved here, it was around the time of the Mother Emanuel shooting. And Unity was doing the outreach, and Cookie had organized, her quilts and basically an art show to help support and create awareness for the healing of that. And we had just moved here. So basically in the first 2 weeks of living here, Cookie embraced me, and we were both crying because I just thought it was so beautiful what she had done. And then I found out that we had a Unity of Charleston here, and my mind was blown because I thought it was such a niche thing. And I thought, you're kidding. We have to go try it. And that's sort of how, I've come to be here. I think that the search kind of finds me. I feel like spirituality is searching for me rather than I'm searching for it. So I don't know if that was a good answer to the question, but
That was absolutely perfect. Wonderful, wonderful. And through this non-search, through this osmosis of experiencing the presence and who you are, and making that maybe a non-path, which I actually think is the most valuable way to go about this. What kind of philosophy of life have you developed?
I feel like there's a lot of words that I could say. But I think right now I'm more curious than anything. And the things I thought I knew come into question. And then I learn something new. So what do I know for sure? I know that I want to be on the path to love and peace. I know that I want to be good to the people that are in my life. So I think my philosophy is presence and mindfulness and slowing down and trying to be kind.
Sound very Buddhist.
Cool. I don't really know anything about Buddhism. I
Well,
really don't. So I probably should read some books.
there are many aspects of Buddhism, but the one that we have a Sangha here is Engaged Buddhism, which is really about, it's a code of ethics. It's like acting with authenticity, being really present. It's not a religion. It's just a way of living and with honor and nobility. Do you have any hobbies or passions? I mean, they probably bleed into what you do. I know you said that the video was very exciting for you. Media. And do you have any other interest or passion?
Well, a lot of that stuff is very time consuming right now. Um, the video editing is a very time consuming hobby slash job. So I'm not sure, how many projects I'm going to be able to take on because I love my hobbies in my free time. And I have so many hobbies. Cooking, embroidery, crochet, knitting, sitting, doing absolutely nothing is one of my favorite hobbies. Looking at how the light comes through the window for like 15 minutes at a time and just pondering that's something I used to do all the time. I don't have time for right now. Well, I guess I'm doing it right now. But I love my hobbies. Yeah. I don't have gardening. I don't have time for my hobbies right now because I'm working a lot, but I find little moments to incorporate them in my child rearing. And that's been very exciting because the idea of I don't have time, and you spoke a little bit about this in your teaching at Unity. It was such a good talk. But you were saying life is hard, but it's not hard all the time. And I really believe in that reframe. In the case of I don't have time, that might be true a lot of the time, but it's not true all the time. And so I'm trying to find those moments, those little 5-minute moments or 10-minute moments where, if it's a beautiful day outside and maybe Leo and I are on our way somewhere, I can be like, let's plant this little plant really quick and just enjoy it. Or let's have a little crocheting lesson. So I'm learning how to bring more of the things that I enjoy into my mothering, because I think that's important. So hobbies, that's where I'm at with hobbies.
That's great. Yes, I think that in terms of not having enough time, even though our time is very filled, that it's not a very good affirmation. So I love the thought, I have time to do what I need and want to do. I always have time to do what I need and want to do, just as a constant reframe, because I noticed myself saying, I don't have time, I don't have time. And it's like, that's not a good affirmation. And, we want to just move our minds away from that limiting belief and I like the way you reframed it. Let's take 5 minutes at a time. I was writing a book on the 5-minute miracle, and it was doing exactly what you're saying. It's taking these 5 minutes. Then I had to get off because I'm doing 2 paid projects of writing, so I couldn't continue the book. But we can do so much in 5 minutes. And I'll set a timer, and it's like, oh, the bedroom is a wreck, and it's like 5 minutes. What is it going to look like in 5 minutes? And it's like, it's 90% better, just 5 minutes. Yeah. So do we have any favorite books or authors? I think you did mention a couple, but you may want to reiterate, actually 3, I guess.
Well, Dr. Wayne Dyer, I think, is my favorite because I just love how simply he can put things, and like his work on the Tao Te Ching is really beautiful. So I think Dr. Wayne Dyer, Eric Butterworth, Maya Angelou. In terms of just like joy reading, Toni Morrison has been my favorite a long time. And my favorite book she wrote was Beloved. And I like A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson.
Mm-hmm. That's a great one.
There's so many books. Actually, I'm really, really into this poet right now. Their name is Andrea Gibson, Andrew Gibby. I think they go by both. I'm having to really work on my pronouns and remembering the people have different pronouns, but their poetry is so good. It's so beautiful. It's so timely.
Oh.
I just can't say enough about it. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Something very inviting to the heart about poetry. I think it's one step up from writing. The language of the gods, for sure. Do you have any spiritual practices that you do on a regular basis? You mentioned one that you can't do so much, and that is the 15 minutes of really being present at the window. Do you have any other practices?
Yeah. I try to do, well, I don't know if this is a spiritual practice because a lot of times it feels like exercise, but what happens at the end of it is great. So for me, I do yoga 15, 20 minutes, and I try to do that every day.
Yes.
And when I do, it just changes my whole day. I used to do it every day for an hour. And I did that for a couple of years. I lived a block away from my yoga studio in Orlando, and I lived alone. So that was a really great time to do a lot of yoga and a lot of meditation. So now I make sure that I have at least 20 minutes. And there's something about my coffee in the morning that just feels very sacred to me. And that actually is the time where if a child isn't talking to me, I am always staring out my window. So maybe I'd still do that every day. It's just wonderful. And it goes in phases. Sometimes the kids need me in the morning a lot more than others. But when I get to sit with my coffee and stare out the window, even if it's a rainy day, I can still find these little rays of sunshine. And then what also might be a spiritual practice is those little rainbows that happen. These little rainbows that just kind of appear in places you don't expect them to. I just think it's miraculous. So I get so excited and I stop everything I'm doing. So maybe there's like a search for little rainbows. Butterflies do the same thing to me. I have to stop what I'm doing. I can't move. It's just, and then the sunrise and the sunset, if I get to see that, I just can't believe it happens every day. I'm mystified that it happens every day. Every day.
Yes, it's those ordinary things that become extraordinary when we're present to them. Well, thank you so much. I just wonder if you have any parting words, anything you didn't say, any advice just to close.
I have no advice, but this has been lovely.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here, Heather. Take care. Namaste.
Hey, thank you so much, Anne.